Hey everyone, this is SunBro, and I'm back with more Dark Souls 3. This is long overdue, but this is going to be my beginner's guide to Dark Souls 3. It's going to go from here at the beginning all the way to the second bonfire on Lothric Wall, and it's going to skip around a lot for the main points, but all the rest in between is just running through basic mobs anyway. So, first off, choose what your name want to be, etc., etc. As for class, you're going to want to choose either the Knight or the Herald. They both have decent armor, they both have decent shields and weapons. The Herald is a little bit better if you want to stay farther away. He also has a healing miracle that will kind of supplement your Estus Flask a little bit. It hardly heals at all, but if you want to go into a strong enemy or group of enemies and be able to heal up a little bit beforehand, it'll help there, because you won't have to use an Estus Flask to top yourself off. But for this one, we are going to go with the Knight. As far as your burial gift goes, for new players, I'd suggest either the Life Ring or the Fire Gem, because for the Life Ring, you're going to have a little bit of extra health, and sometimes it can come down to surviving by only 20 health or so. And this ring is definitely going to give you 20 health or more. And as for the Fire Gem, that is just going to be a weapon buff as far as not having Titanite upgrades that you can do in the beginning of the game, at least at the very beginning when you get to Firelink. This will kind of supplement that because it will increase the strength of your weapon. It will not scale with anything after you do the enchantment, though, but it'll still give you a stronger weapon than the base weapon going straight into the first area. But for this one, we are going to go with the Life Ring because we are going to be picking up the Deep Battle Axe later on, which is going to be better than a Fire Longsword would be. Then from there, you'll just choose what you want to look like, etc., etc., and then move on to the first area. Now, from the Cemetery of Ash, all of these enemies will die in basically one attack from the Knight, even from just a normal slash. You don't need to do a heavy attack or anything like that. Nothing special. Just one slash, one kill for the enemies in this first area. Clearing them out doesn't give you a lot of experience, and it's not necessarily worth the time, but it is worth grabbing all the items in the area. And as you can see, you can take a pretty decent hit, and you'll hardly take any damage as the Knight. Now, down that way is something you'll probably want to save for later, especially as the Knight, because it is a ravenous crystal lizard, and they don't take a lot of damage from slashing. So if you are starting out as the cleric, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, he will take a lot of damage from your mace, but as for now, there's no point to really bother with that. So after the first area is done, you'll arrive at the first bonfire. Now, the enemies here get a little bit stronger, so you're going to want to rest the bonfire. You'll also get the rest gesture when you do, so it's worth it even if you haven't taken any damage. Now, as you'll see from these guys, even two-handed attack is not enough for a one-shot kill. So if you want a one-shot, you're going to have to go with a two-handed strong attack to take them out, because these guys are a little bit tougher, but not much. You'll have another guy that tries to rush up at you, but no problem at all. Gonna want to come over this way, jump off here, because this will be your first Titanite shard, so then all you'll need is a second one off of any of the enemies that can drop them from the Lothric wall, and then you'll have your first weapon upgrade. Alright, and these guys can also drop Sacred Chimes, so if you're intending to add any faith to the Knight character, that will be a way to do it. Alright, and you're also going to want to pick up the fire bombs. Now, just drop down here, And then kill this guy. And then got 5 fire bombs. And those are useful because as the knight and most other characters, you won't have a ranged attack on this first boss. So if you just want to add it, and if you're the knight and care about your quick item management, get rid of the Ashen Flask because you're not going to need it. And this is where the Herald's advantage would come in, because as you can see, I'm a little bit low on health, but I would want to go into this boss with full health because he hits fairly hard, so you are going to want to top yourself off. Now, as far as this boss goes, the first time you fight him will really be the easiest time, because you're going to pull out the sword, and then you're just going to want to wail on him. And as you can see, it's already about 1/6 of his life bar gone right away. Now, you want to stay in and dodge his attacks as much as possible. The knight does have the shield, so you'll have that advantage if you do need to block. Now when he does that attack, you can hit him with a power attack and then just wail on him if he goes down. Now when he does this animation, you really want to come in close and then just start swinging. And if you get hit, it's all good. It is best to have your shield out during this point, because he does have a lot of quick attacks such as that. And he has an extremely long range. But as I will show you here, throw a firebomb, and it deals quite a bit of damage. So if you do really want to stay away, then you can just throw firebombs, but as you can see, when you're in close, he can't really hit you. So it's an easy kill as long as you stay in close. I didn't take a lot of damage there. And the firebombs, if you throw all 5, that's about another 1/8 of his health. So if you're really getting pushed back, then just chuck firebombs and you're all good. The only downside is if you use all your firebombs and you still die, then you will have to fight him straight up, and you won't have that extra buffer zone in order to kill him, or like take out more health when you first remove the sword from him. So if you're really having trouble and this is your first time playing the game, I actually recommend just starting over, because the first few areas just before that boss, they aren't hard at all. You can just sprint through them if you'd like and go straight through the boss fog. And then you will not get effed up like I am. And then you'll be able to just keep starting over when he was easier, when you can just wail on him with all that extra damage right at the beginning. And then from there, you're going to want to come up to Firelink. And then place the coiled sword into the bowl to get your first real bonfire, I guess, because you can warp from this one. So after you're here, you're going to want to talk to the Firekeeper and level up, of course. It's going to be same as Dark Souls 2, where you level up through a particular person. As far as where you want to go from here, that is up to you. I've changed the base melee builds, such as the Knight, into either miracle-based, or you have some decent heals early on. That'd be more if you're starting with the Herald, though. As far as Knights, I usually took them towards the magic path, because you're strong in close and melee, and then you'll have base level sorceries like Soul Arrow and Great Soul Arrow a little bit later on, especially because Soul Arrow is sold by the very first merchant. As for this, just going to go a little bit into intelligence, because just one intelligence will have the required intelligence for Soul Arrow. Vitality and Vigor.
Farewell, Ashen Maid of the...
And in Firelink Shrine, before you leave, there are quite a few things to do, and they're very, very worthwhile. You're going to want to come up top here and go through this side area. Pick up the items, because it'll be a few souls, so if you want one more level up before you go, then there's that. There's also a few more items scattered throughout the area, with a few pretty easy enemies. But this will be the toughest part, and it's going to take you a lot of tries, but you can use this tree to get up there, and what that allows you to do is get an Estus Flask Shard, as well as a ring and access to the Pumperum Bird, or Snuggly Crow, however you want to say it, right before you even go to the next area. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of tries, but this is basically how you'll do it, over and over and over. Alright, so that took me about 15 tries or so to get up here, but it's definitely worth it, so keep trying. If it gets frustrating, you can come back later, but it will be nice to go into the next area with a little bit extra gear. So you'll pick up the Homeward Bones there, come through this little alcove here, and then this section here will be Pumperum Bird, and then you will get an Estus Shard. Now, come straight over here, and there's an illusionary wall. And past it, you will get the covetous Silver Serpent Ring, and that's going to increase the souls that you gain by about 15% or so. So that will definitely help for early soul acquisition, as well as just the general soul farming that you will be able to do. As for any of the rest of it, it doesn't matter that much. You're going to want to head over here and take your Flask Shard to Andre. And then you're going to want to allocate them. If you're the Knight, I just recommend going all 5. You can have one Ashen Estus Flask if you want to. It's just for the skills, and you won't necessarily need them, at least going through this first area. So if you want a lot of healing, especially because if you're not experienced, you'll need a lot more healing, you're going to want to go with 5. So going into the first area, you'll already have 5 Estus Flasks, when your max otherwise would be 4 starting off, if you allocated the Ashen Flask over. Now check the Handmaiden if there's anything that you really want to go with. Sells a lot of good items, extra Homeward Bones. You can get Heal Aid from her, which is the miracle that the Herald starts off with. And since the Knight does start off with 1 attunement slot, you can just buy any spell that you want to equip and put it there. And then once you have enough faith to actually hold a talisman, which will be 10, you can start off with healing, or it'll be 10, which I already upgraded in the first level up for intelligence, and then it is also 10 to cast Soul Arrow. So then you can go into the first area with some decent stuff if you don't spend the rest on level ups. And then as for the rest of it, if there's any better gear, if you're as the Herald, I think the chain leggings are better. And then you'll have some extra things you can buy, like fire bombs, etc. You can also sell stuff to her for some extra souls, but at this point, it's not really relevant. Then you're going to want to rest at the bonfire and travel to the High Lothric Wall. Okay, you'll spawn in this room. Nothing special about it. Just go through the front door and get to the first bonfire. Now once you're here, there are going to be two paths, but you're going to want to go to the left, because it's very, very simple. There's nothing crazy. You'll have a few enemies, and as you can see, even direct hits with the knight's armor doesn't hurt very much. You're gonna want to take out this guy if you can't kill the lantern bearer in time, because he calls some of the more zealotous undead to aid him. Now, from there, you don't want to go down right away. You're going to want to come up here. And don't fight on the ground too long, because you'll have a guy up here that is trying to throw fire bombs at you. Because he'll just rain them down from above if you let him and don't take care of him right away. Up here are the binoculars, so you can get a better look at things throughout the game. And then, if you come over here, there'll be these two enemies. Take them out. If you're quiet, they'll let you. And then there's also this one here. And drop, there'll be a hidden section down here. And through this little alcove is gold pine resin. Now that will add lightning to your weapon, which is really good for fighting the first boss if you are going to need some assistance with that. Some extra fire bombs here. Heal up if you need to. I'm kind of just not trying as hard in this section, not dodging a ton, unless it's going to be very bad and mess up what I'm trying to show you, just because beginner players won't necessarily have the ability. If there is a summon sign, you can feel free to summon it to help you, but as far as this part goes, you're just going to want to book it up the stairs. Open the door as fast as you can to get to safety. There will be a few enemies that want to kill you. And the guys with the big axes are more difficult. And they definitely hurt more. But if you have it, it's a good time for fire bombs. And as far as out here goes, when you're here, the dragon is going to keep breathing fire, so do the rest of this part at your own risk. There's a few items here. There's a club. That one in the very corner just above my head is going to be the claymore, so if you want to go with big heavy weapons, that's the weapon to grab. But you are going to want to come through here, because this is where you're going to get a very strong early weapon, which is the deep battle axe. Now, this right here is a mimic, and they're fairly difficult early on in the game, but right off the bat, you're just going to want to wail on it. And it's going to have fairly strong attacks, but as long as you stick right up behind it, it can't really hit you. It's going to try to go for grab moves more often than not when it's in front of you, or when it's close to you. And it can't really get you when you're so close. Now, the camera won't be your friend here because of how the walls are and all that, but just stick close it, strafe around it, and you'll be able to kill it fairly easily. It'll give you a lot of souls, and then you'll get the Deep Battle Axe. Now, it's a very good weapon early on, because if you look at my starting longsword, that is 110 damage plus 14 because I have DD scaling with strength and dexterity. But for the Deep Battle Axe, as you can see, I do not have any attribute bonuses, so no scaling, but it has 103 physical and 103 dark. And as long as you have the equip load for it, which as you're starting with the knight, you definitely will, you can just equip this right away. Now, it is a slightly slower swing than the standard longsword, but it is very strong, and also going this way will open up a little bit of a moderate shortcut. Then, if you can avoid the knight seeing you, he has a very poor range. Wait till he goes down the stairs before you really do anything, because there will be enemies here that'll get up, and you're going to want to kill them beforehand. And if you'd like, you can even just book it inside and not care about the knight. There will be these enemies here, and then you will have the second bonfire. And as you can see, there will be a bunch of summon signs around here. There pretty much always are, just for whatever reason. All of them disappeared, so might be getting invaded, but I'll show you how to fight the knight if you'd like. You can parry him if you wish, but it can be a little difficult. But the Deep Battle Axe deals a lot more damage than you will normally deal, and pretty much kill him with just one backstab. Now, I did fairly poorly there, but like I said, I'm not trying to, I guess, act like a higher level player, just kind of how, you know, you'd casually go through this. And if you're a new player, a casually, you know, more experienced player will pretty much be equivalent as far as skill level goes. But yeah, the knight will go down a lot more quickly with the Deep Battle Axe, so that, 'cause that's going to be 206 damage instead of that 1010 plus 14. And it's going to be better than a few +2 and +3 weapons. And +3 weapons require 6 Titanite shards. So that takes a while to be able to have a weapon that is as good as this, when you can just kind of pick it up. And then the last thing, if you acquire a longbow or a crossbow, which you will acquire throughout this area, all you have to do to farm souls is shoot the dragon while you're down where the knight was. And I'll leave a link in the description to my early souls farming guide, and that guide will be even more enhanced because you will have the covetous silver serpent ring if you did the part where you jump up off the tree early on. So that is it for this one. I hope this little guide helped. This will get you to the second bonfire with an extra ring, an extra Estus Flask shard, and a fairly powerful weapon before you're supposed to have those items. So it'll definitely help a lot, and I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to praise the sun, and I will see you all next time. If you enjoyed, feel free to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already by clicking the button at the top there. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to praise the sun, and I will see you all next time.